And so he said, you want to come join the DUPR team and build something that's going to be $1 billion business one day. And I was like, absolutely. That sounds, that's right up my alley.
Hi, I'm Crystal Brown, your host, and we get to speak today with Ben Van Hout, who is the Director of Operations at DUPR, Dynamic Universal Pickleball Rating. He also happens to oversee all of the college pickleball programs, as well as some of the youth programs. So we get to dive into what DUPR is, what's going on in college pickleball, and all sorts of other subjects related to pickleball. Don't forget to subscribe, and also there'll be lots of links in your show notes. All right, now to the show.
Welcome to Simply Pickleball, the podcast, where we discuss all things pickleball, the fastest growing sport in America and around the world. We are interviewing the founders, industry leaders, athletes, lovers of the sport that are driving this spectacular growth. If you love pickleball as much as we do, listen in.
Awesome. So thank you, Ben, so much for joining today. Really excited to talk about all things pickleball, in particular around Collegiate Pickleball, the company you work for, and DUPR, and really just get into what you guys are working on and how much you're working on. It's super exciting. But before we get started, I'd love to just learn about your history with the sport or sports in general. So maybe you can tell us I know you have a background in tennis, so maybe you can start there.
Yes. I used to be the tennis purist that would never touch pickleball, but now I have ventured off onto I used to call it the dark side. Now it's the good side. And getting away from tennis a little bit. I still love it, but yeah, pickleball is definitely number one. But yeah, so I played tennis my entire life, played all the junior tournaments, and then ended up playing college tennis. Had a fun, career in college tennis. And then I started, when COVID hit, a couple months after, I started running tournaments again on the Universal Tennis Rating platform, which is a tennis company that basically does a similar rating in tennis as DUPR does in pickleball. And so I started running these tournaments just because there was such a demand. I loved it. I loved running events. I loved bringing people together, and it was during COVID too. So I had to be super careful about all the operations of the event, which made me even more prepared to do events nowadays. Is like, there were things that hoops I had to jump through that I never have to jump through now. But it was good that I started out with that difficult time period. So that is kind of how I got into this world. And then a few of my friends who had worked with at UTR, they helped start DUPR. And so, I just got a call one day and he was like, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I'm like, "I am in corporate America, slaving away." And so he said, you want to come join the DUPR team and build something that's going to be $1 billion business one day. And I was like, absolutely. That sounds, that's right up my alley. So that's kind of how I got into this crazy pickleball world that we all love and live in now.
So just so I understand and everyone understands listening, DUPR stands for Dynamic Universal Pickleball Rating. It has that name, but as a company, it does several things, right? So it is a rating system, but it's also a technology company, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we are right now, we're the most accurate and we're a global rating, right? So we're in so many different countries. We're adding them every day. Especially right now, I'm sure everybody else has seen such an international boom of the sport the last couple of weeks. China made some announcements. We have great relations in Australia and a bunch of other countries. But yeah, DUPR's focused on the rating, but then we also have a couple other verticals. We're focused on minor league pickleball, which is really spreading the major league pickleball format, right? 2 men, 2 women, having that fun team atmosphere instead of just playing in your normal gender doubles or mixed doubles or singles, right? So that's one avenue. And then we've got our Collegiate Pickleball, which I'm sure we'll dive into. That's my baby. We have Waterfalls, which is kind of like the pathway for individuals, right? From playing your normal, we're doing it open, the brackets for nationals. So that's basically you start in your regional tournament and then you get a golden, or I think she's calling them a platinum ticket to nationals. for the waterfalls. Yeah, we're doing a bunch of different things, and we're about to actually announce our junior national championships very soon, which is amazing.
I want to dive into all those things actually. So starting with DUPR, basically it's an app and it's a rating system, right? So that has an app, I guess. It's a rating system that has an app. You can download it on your phone. And can you just explain a little bit about should everybody have this on their phone?
Yes, everybody should have the DUPR app. Every single time you play a pickleball game, please get those scores in, right? We're a data and analytics company, right? So we need the more data, the more accurate these ratings get. And obviously, we want everyone to have the rating because, when you go to a clinic and it's advanced, intermediate, beginner, there's so many micro levels inside of those. And we just want to make sure that everybody has a good baseline and a way to get us all into the right groups, because we all want to play the most competitive games, right? Yeah. It's always nice to play somebody much farther below your level to boost your confidence, or get your butt kicked to get somebody that's really good. But, it's nice to have that competitive baseline.
So I'm curious because I wasn't a tennis player and there's probably a lot of pickleball players that didn't play racket sports before. So this is the first time they've ever had to think about how do I place myself, right? And so I love that you are offering this, to anyone. And is it at any tournament level people can go on and enter their scores? And I read a little bit about it. So it both wins and losses, as well as how many points you get in the game, matter towards this algorithm.
Yeah. So right now it's all about win or lose, and then the type of result. So a rec score that, let's say you and I go play a quick game to 11 today, that score will count a little bit less than if you are going to play an organized tournament. That tournament result will count a little bit more, right? Because we're maybe more focused in a tournament rather than a rec play game. Is more for fun. It's more loose. That's kind of the way to think about it right now.
So I feel like I should have a whole episode on the technical part of DUPR, and maybe I will. But Definitely. What was the incentive? What was the initiative? Because maybe there's other rating systems that exist, but your founder decided that to create something more fair. And quite frankly, that's sort of the way technology works, right? There were a lot of search engines before Google. Google felt like they could do a better job of producing better results, which they did actually. And so I imagine at some point, your founder or whoever decided to create DUPR thought there's a better way. And what was the problem they were trying to solve?
It was truly the sandbagging too. You hit all the right points, but he was tired of seeing the sandbagging happen. The fact that anybody could say that they're a 3-5, in reality, they're probably a 4-5 just because they want to win the title, especially when there's prize money on the line, right? That's really important to know where someone is to put them in the appropriate bracket, right? Because we want to find out who is the best of those 3-5s, and then they get to move up, hopefully, right? With their rating, if they're winning, we don't want somebody just continuing to go back and winning that same bracket over and over again when they should be challenging themselves. So that was the real problem and I think we're still facing it in the pickleball community. We're working on it as much as we can, but if everyone had a DUPR, we really wouldn't be facing that problem as frequently.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because there is more money on the line, and eventually college scholarships on the line, and eventually sponsorships. So we're at a nascent stage, but we have an opportunity to build something right. And technology's kind of moved along that you can create some really cool algorithms. So I should download the app. Everyone should have it and start playing in more tournaments. And what are you seeing for, you mentioned a bunch of pillars that I guess the overarching company is DUPR, and you have pillars within it, right? So you want to talk a little about college, which I would love to talk about. What's your role for organizing things going on in collegiate pickleball, and maybe then we can go into what we're seeing today and what you hope to see.
Yeah, my goal is just to build. Obviously, DUPR is with MLP as well, which is the professional teams, right? It's the NBA or NFL of pickleball. So we're really trying to create the pipeline of players, the future pro players, and also, builds the base of college pickleball out so that these teams can go ahead and get scholarships prepped privately, right? The NCAA hasn't come in yet. And so we are trying to build out basically everything college pickleball. And again, like the big picture is for these players to develop in college, get scholarships, get their education paid for. The most important part of sports, right? In my opinion, getting help for that education. And then if they're that good, we've got the pipeline into MLP, and hopefully we get it to the point where the MLP draft is drafting kids out of, the University of North Carolina pickleball team rather than other pro tournaments, right? So that's the real end goal for us right now.
That's awesome. Because right now, the steady state of things is there is no college pickleball that's run by this. It's club level, right? Right now, we've got club level college pickleball.
Exactly. Yeah, we are essentially college pickleball right now, and it is club pickleball. I'm trying to stay away from that word and call them programs because these are the varsity athletes theoretically for these pickleball programs, right? Since there is no varsity,
right? There's
no varsity yet, but so I'm trying to tweak it and make sure that the kids know that they are the varsity athletes on campus for their pickleball teams.
Yeah, well, we interviewed someone from U.S. Collegiate Pickleball. We just had a real casual conversation about it. There's a list of all the schools that have programs going right now. I'm sure that it's heating up. But I know there are hundreds of teams, or I don't want to say clubs now, hundreds of programs already. And he had some opinions about whether the NCAA or some other entity should run pickleball. And I'm curious, I was a college athlete, you're a college athlete. The way that tennis is run in college, should it be the same, or are there some significant differences in pickleball, and maybe it should be like tennis, but maybe some subtle differences?
Yeah, I think one goal that we have right now is to flip the seasons to potentially see a lot of dual sport athletes, since we've seen from higher level tennis players transitioning into pickleball. It's a extremely quick transition, and they, for the most part, are usually very, very good off the bat. So that's one thing that we'd like to see. And then in terms of answering kind of the first question on should it look the same? Was that kind of where you're going with that?
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you think that it should look like tennis, and should the NCAA be for the body overseeing what's going on in college?
I mean, I think the NCAA is great at the organization with the conferences and hosting national championships and getting eligibility requirements done. But I've seen a shift ever since NIL has become, a major part of college athletics, where these kids are funding their college careers and their futures off of deals that are outside of the university and NCAA's kind of scope, right? So I think the NCAA is really important to other sports, but I do see them kind of dwindling a little bit, and maybe they jump back on the horse and help out more. But I see college pickleball as being something that could probably succeed with or without the NCAA.
Yeah, maybe it's an opportunity for a different entity to oversee it. I mean, especially because some of the top players right now, like Annalie Waters, she's only 16 or 17, and she's not going to want to pass up opportunities that are served now for her. Like, she doesn't know what her future holds, so why would she give up sponsorship opportunities or things like that? So it'll be interesting. So how do we get from where we are today with college programs, not clubs, but we've got, what does it look like at a typical college today? Who is it, men and women? Are they competing against each other? Are they going to tournaments? Like what's the state of the state right now?
Right now we are following the MLP format. So that means every team, the top team, is 2 men, 2 women, playing, and they play a women's doubles line and then a men's doubles line, and then 2 mixed lines. And then if they split, they play something called a dream breaker, which is like a team singles tiebreaker, basically, which is so exciting and so much fun to watch. If anybody hasn't seen how a dream breaker works, I would do a quick YouTube search. They're electric. I think it's one of the coolest things that they introduced into the MLP format. So that's the format for these tournaments that DUPR is running. We run them on a regional basis, and then we've got a national championship, a team national championship, and an individual national championship, which is kind of similar to tennis. And all the programs are way different. Mm-hmm. Some schools have been able to secure a ton of funding through their rec sports or their club sport departments. Some have been getting private sponsors from pickleball companies, from local businesses, and they've got a ton of money where they've got uniforms, they're traveling, they're flying to tournaments, right? Like, they're doing it right. And, some of them are actually in the final steps of locking down a couple college scholarships, which is like the craziest thing ever. And it makes me so happy because that's really our mission is to get kids money for their education, right? And to help this be the vehicle that gets them there. Again, and then the other side of the coin is there's programs that don't have anything really. They're just playing on their local park courts. They're throwing down taped lines like we all have done at some time. They're rolling out the net, unboxing it, throwing it together, and then putting it in the shed. And those schools are still competing. Again, there's a very wide spectrum right now of programs.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, everyone's put some lines down. I had some friends that were so eager to play in San Francisco during COVID that they found this little area, taped it off, but it also happened to be where there were some homeless. And so they would get like some yelling and screaming going on during the game. It was not related. So yes, that's the problem for a pickleball addict. You just want to play. So with these colleges and these, is DUPR getting involved with each individual college, or, is there an entity that can each college reach out and say, hey, we don't have a program that's well functioning yet. Do you have like resources for us? And I want to talk about that. Like, how can we help some of these colleges? And then also, are there, besides that team format, what if there's a lot of other people that want to compete in tournaments? So can they do both? So you can answer either one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So basically we want to be from start to finish in terms of getting these programs from no money to being fully funded, right? To helping them develop these scholarships. So when somebody reaches out to us, college@mydupr.com is the email. This could be a student who has never talked to their sport club department, but has 2 guys and 2 girls that are really interested in forming a team and playing in our events. And we'll take them we actually fund we give them $1,000 stipend that they're able to use for travel, for equipment, and anything else that they need to get this program going. So we start there and kind of help them out. And we've got a whole basically training program on how to build a program from start to finish. So we help them on that front, and then we host the events, right? So we're like, here's your tournament calendar, basically. And then we also introduce them to other universities that are local and more regionalized, so that they're not spending their whole year traveling to all of our events, that they can play amongst themselves and build out a calendar. And then ours is more like the bigger event, the conference type championship that they need to play in to qualify for nationals.
Gotcha.
So
you're saying there's regional tournaments that are not the MLP format of they're more traditional tournaments where a certain number of people can play, or they are that same format of two women, 2 men.
We are recommending to everyone that they're playing. That is kind of the college format now, is that 2 men, 2 women. And we also think, and to talk back about the NCAA, is that this is going to be the first sport that is a co-ed sport, right? Which I think is the coolest thing ever for sports. And like, it just shows how far we've come, from women not even having college scholarships, I don't know how many years ago, but like the evolution of this to having a co-ed sport, I think it's going to be so cool that you're not cheering on the women's basketball team and the men's basketball team and having to pick and choose which,
right. Or even like you said, the disparity in funding, if you have one team, I was a swimmer and it's so individual. Your time is your time. And so it's really easy to place people, which I like. That's kind of what DUPR's trying to do, like make it really easy to place you where you should be in the lineup or whatever. But also we trained with the men, and I felt that was really fair. We would, there was, yep. It depended on your time. So there were men and women, but we never competed against each other. So this is really interesting because you have that co-ed competition and or not gender biased. So that's awesome. Exactly. And so there are tournaments that college players, if they don't have a good program, that they should try to go and be a part of right now, right? There's yes. Tournaments. Are there a lot of tournaments? Are they all year round? Who's putting those types of tournaments on?
Yeah, so we're putting together our regionals, which we have 12 this year, and then we have the team nationals and the individual nationals. So we've got 14 total events. They're during the fall and spring. Mm-hmm. Our calendar may look completely different next year because we're thinking about either doing more events, so making them more localized, or we're going to help the schools make sure that they have enough teams to play against during the fall or the spring, to the point where we only host a couple regional or conference championships so that they only have to travel a good distance for one tournament. Right. So we're kind of in the phase of deciding what's the right strategy for these programs at the end of the day, because we had 12 regions that we had to pick this year. And that left out, kind of like the Pacific Northwest didn't really get touched. And then the Northeast, those were kind of our two regions that we weren't able to hit. Every other region was taken care of, but we had to pick and choose. So that's been the tough part, is we got to decide either we hit every region or we only have a couple regionals so that all the schools travel to those few tournaments. Right. So that's where we're at right now.
Are you getting pinged all the time from different people interested in this
program? I want to have as many events as possible because I think there's so many teams, and like the barrier to entry is finding two guys and two girls who want to play pickleball for a weekend. We're only charging $25 a head. We're focused on building this, and we're only charging them so that, because every time you have a free event, people are more likely to kind of pull out. So it's kind of like a deposit.
That's a good business decision anyway. No matter, you should always charge
something. Of course.
Get for free. It's looked at differently. So it's only one team per school, right? Like,
we actually have a challenger bracket. For our regional events, we allow as many teams as they would like to bring.
Okay.
And then we also have a challenger bracket. So if you can't put together 2 men, 2 women, and you just want to play an open doubles competition for the weekend, we have that bracket as well. And at nationals, even if your team didn't get a bid, we're inviting you to come play in the challenger bracket because we want everybody there. We want everybody experiencing the fun and the pizzazz of a national championship.
So let's talk about that. So when is the national championship, or how many have you had so far?
Yep. So our first national championship ever was in 2022. That's kind of where this all began. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of an idea that we had in the summertime. We put it in November. We were going to pay for the travel of 8 programs to get them out there. It was just going to be a fun weekend, and there really wasn't going to be anything else after it. There was no plans. And then we had 17 schools show up, right? We're like, oh no, we've got something. So we got to execute on it. Right. And so now I think we're up to 6 regionals have happened this year. And then we have 6 more this fall. And then we have our team nationals in November 17th through the 19th in Atlanta at the Petrie Corners Lifetime facility, which is the same place the next MLP event in September is going to be as well. So, it'll be the same show courts and stadium and everything. So it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, I was talking to the CEO of the DC pickleball team, and he was telling me that, you know, that future, that vision, like of where are we going to be building these big, you know, centers with center court and amazing facilities in each city. How, you know, well, it's exciting that Atlanta has that. So how many teams do you expect, or how many colleges do you think will be represented? Colleges and universities will be represented?
Yep. So we're giving out, what are we giving out? 36 bids for colleges to be in the team bracket. And then, you know, I mean, I can't imagine how many different other colleges are going to end up coming to the challenger bracket, especially because I have a feeling that a lot of these programs are going to catch on to, like, towards the middle of the semester, going to be like, oh crap, we missed our regional. Basically, we can't figure out how to get a bid for this year, but we're going to go join the fun and go join the party of nationals, right? And then they're going to get to experience them, and then they're going to get motivated to put together, you know, a more structured team and organization. So
right.
I can't imagine how many teams we're going to have represented.
So right now, if you are a college or, you know, a university, you could put together your team of 4 and apply to be a part of it. But what do you need to have proven, right? Do you have to go to regionals, or do you have to have a DUPR score? Do you need both of those things?
Currently, right now, to qualify for nationals, you need to get first or second in one of our regionals. So that's so 24, we're giving out 24 bids that way. And then we gave, for our individual national championships, which was in the spring, we gave, I think, 2 schools had players that won their individual event, which guaranteed them a bid. However, they still have to play and participate in a regional event. So we've got a couple, we're probably going to have 5 to 6, maybe 8 bids, I think it is. I need to go double check the math, that we're going to give out due to just them putting in the effort to put together a really good program. And they may have been close to qualifying and getting first or second. So that's for this year. And then again, for next year, that may slightly change. And then in terms of the challenger bracket, that's open to anyone that is taking 6 credit hours at a university, has a doubles partner that they want to go play with. So that's kind of wide open if you're any college kid.
Is that junior college and online college, or does it have, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all in. I mean,
you heard
Crystal,
it here.
You can go back. You can go back right now and take that's 2 classes.
Oh God, so. I know. No, it's all right. I've got daughters in college. I'll let them take that. So going back to youth for a minute, I'm interested in this because a couple of players that I've talked to, including Lindsay Newman, I had a nice talk with her, and she had played in middle school. And actually, Matt Beasler, who became a soccer pro and then now works at Chicken and Pickle, he also played in middle school, which is, so are middle schools and below, are they already teaching pickleball? And if so, like what should we expect in the years to come, you know, K through 8, should every kid going to know how to play pickleball?
I think this is going to be one of those sports like basketball that really starts in the public school systems and any school systems in general. I actually just texted my mom. She's a kindergarten teacher. And I was like, hey, just, you know, out of the blue, does your PE coach teach pickleball? And she's up in like rural Georgia. And so I expected definitely not, like, why would you ask that? And she was like, yes, they actually do. So the fact that it's getting taught in such a rural area, you know, I think it speaks to how fast the sport is growing and how easy it is to get this sport started, right? You know, if anybody has any extra cash or extra paddles or balls, go to your local elementary, middle school, high school, and donate those, because I think it's going to be really valuable to those kids, right?
Yeah. I mean, there is such a low barrier to entry. And I do think that, you know, and it's a great equalizer of a sport. I mean, to be really good, you still have to, there's things, but I think it's really, I'm glad you're bringing that up. So you said that DUPR has some involvement in youth, or in the youth space. What do you have on the table? What do you guys?
I can't say too much, but the basic rundown is we're working on a junior pathway from start to finish, right? From the first time you pick up a paddle, running that event. We've got, clubs on the platform, on the DUPR platform, that are already running some junior events, which is fantastic. We're probably going to announce the national championship here pretty soon. And kind of build it out just like we did with college, have a national championship, get the interest, right?
And this is more high school level or any youth?
Every age is great. And I think this is going to be a sport that starts so early, like a soccer, where it might be the first sport that some of these kids play.
Yeah.
To your point, it's low barrier to entry, and it's easy to get confidence, right? And feel good about yourself because of how well you can play, right?
Why do you think that, ping pong's similarly kind of easy, right? And it certainly has taken off in certain countries. I know a lot of Asian countries, but why do you think pickleball, this is just your opinion, versus something like ping pong? Like what's the difference? And then I'd love to talk about what's going on in China and some other countries that you know about.
We're definitely on the hype train right now, right? We've got, especially at MLP, team owners like Drake, LeBron James, Tom Brady, Kim Clijsters, she was a pro tennis player. Like, there's so many different groups of people that are getting involved and investing in pickleball. I think we're seeing those folks getting in it. Again, to your point, it is easy to play ping pong, and you move around, and anybody can throw it in their basement. But I think also getting outside and like moving around a little bit more, it has that little extra edge of toughness, right? But then again, it's not tennis or like golf to the point where it's taking so many hours to get at like a baseline. So that's a good question, though. I've never really thought about that.
I guess, one of my opinions is, or just as you're talking about it, I feel like tennis and golf are often played at country clubs. Not always. There's public courses for both, for sure. There's tennis courts all over cities. There's golf courses that are public. But in order to be good enough to feel comfortable playing, you really have to dedicate yourself to both those sports. And again, like still have that cachet of what was played. And I think pickleball doesn't have that. It just has more of like a backyard feel, like anyone can play. But I love that DUPR and the MLP are bringing some real structure, and which I think is needed. And again, like to your point about a pathway for certain kids, again, whether it's confidence or whether it's a pathway to scholarship, I think it can be good for anyone, adults too. So what are you seeing internationally? You mentioned that. I really haven't done a lot of research, a little bit, as I've been trying to think about where I would like to go and travel and play all the time. But what are you seeing in terms of the sort of structure being put together in other countries?
Yeah, so I think it depends on every country. You would see this in the tennis world too. Each federation kind of has its own vision for the sport. But what I've seen that's different from tennis is that each of these federations is kind of trying to come together more, and there's more of a vibe of rising tides raises all boats, rather than in the past, everybody's trying to outdo each other. I'm seeing a lot of collaboration amongst a lot of the Asian countries as well. Again, Australia's pumping it. They've been there since really the beginning, maybe not the beginning, but they've been doing a good job for a long time.
What do they do? Are they having similar type competitions? Are they using DUPR? Are you guys in touch?
Yeah, we're in touch with Australia. They've got plenty of events that have been on the platform. They've got a ton of people that are rated. We also just came back from the English Open. We had a few folks out there, and they were getting the ratings in. That tournament was huge. There's a lot of demands elsewhere. I think we're running into padel in a lot of international countries, right? Mexico's really big with padel. A lot of the other European nations are big with padel. So again, we're fighting that a little bit, I think, in terms of adoption, but padel's more of a country club sport. It's expensive.
So padel it has like a wooden, is it played on a court as well?
It's played on a court that's a little bit longer, I think, a little bit longer, a little bit wider than pickle. I may be off a little bit, and then it's got the glass around it.
Yeah.
Plexiglass. So that's expensive to build. I think it's 3 to 4 times more expensive to build a padel court. So I'm not scared of them. I just think the early adopters and like the hype train, they're on the hype train for padel because padel is growing rapidly.
Well, it's not the first racket. I mean, there's, racquetball, there's paddle tennis there, we've had other sports. The more the merrier, but it's just an interesting, different vertical. So what's next for you? What are you working on? What's your next thing? And what should we expect from DUPR just coming up?
So we're basically just trying to outline what does 2024 look like. We have, obviously a super successful tour of 2023. The national championships is, again, anybody that can get out to Atlanta and wants to watch a college sport that, in my opinion, is the most electric, like watching it and being there. And again, pickleball is so you're so close to your opponent. Like there's just energy going back and forth constantly. Yeah. So, I think we should, and we're going to fill those stands too. So anybody that can get out to Atlanta, lots of busiest airport in the world. So lots of direct flights there. Awesome. Get there for it. That's kind of what we're working on, just kind of what 2024 looks like. And then we're obviously trying to bring on as many sponsors as possible, right? The more money DUPR can raise sponsor-wise, we're reinvesting everything. We're dumping everything back into building this out and supporting these programs. Yeah. So, it's a win-win for any sponsors that are interested in working with us. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Can a player right now, if they are on the PPA tour or if they are playing an MLP, and they're in college, can they still participate in the nationals?
Right now, yes. Colin Schick is actually the great story of his first, kind of pickleball organized event was with our national championship last year. He was a part of the University of North Carolina who won it. And now he's on the Florida MLP team. So he's still eligible to compete this year. We have had some conversations and gone back and forth, should pro players be eligible. But again, we want everybody to grow this sport as much as possible, especially at the collegiate side. So we like the camera attention that Colin's getting. So maybe other kids that are playing an MLP or PPA will hop over.
Yeah, I mean, we're reinventing, and it's with more information. Same with DUPR. So, okay, so in summary, everyone should download the app and get their scores so that the algorithm has more data and more information. Everyone should get to Atlanta in the fall.
Yes.
And everyone should donate their old paddles, as long as they're not broken, to their local schools. And that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for explaining everything that's going on. Hopefully I'll be able to attend some of the events, and really excited about what DUPR's doing. And I'll have to have a whole another session just on the app itself. But I think it's really important that I know in building technology myself that the fastest way you can make improvement is to have people use it and get some feedback. I don't know if you know this, that Facebook didn't have the like button for 4 years after they launched because they had a lot of complaints that people didn't want to write comments. They just wanted to like it. So
interesting. I didn't know that.
So technology improves with more use. So let's hope that happens. And then similarly with, sort of designing a college sport from the ground up, it's really exciting that you're leading that and that you guys are really trying to, and it's moving fast. It hasn't been that long, right? I mean, a couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah. It has gone by so quickly. The fact that, last year was our first event ever. Again, the support has been incredible. And if anybody out there is looking to support college pickleball in any way, please email us at college@mydupr.com. We're open for any discussions too on ideas or thoughts. We're an open book. And like you said, we've got the paintbrush right now. So we're trying to paint the prettiest picture and the best picture for college pickleball.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Ben. This has been great. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I'll check in with you in a few months and see where we are. And I'll put all those links in the show notes. And thanks. So make sure you subscribe, everybody, so you can hear what's going on. And we'll talk soon. Happy dinking.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Simply Pickleball. We will be back very soon with great interviews, discussions, and more, all about pickleball. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or any of your favorite podcasting outlets. Until next time, happy dinking.